Hello everyone, my name is Kat. You can find me on Instagram at Yarnsnarl. And this is my knitting and crocheting podcast. I was inspired to make my own knitting and crocheting podcast because I really enjoy listening to everybody else's while I'm working on things. It can be kind of boring if I'm not listening to something. I don't really particularly want to be watching something unless it's something I don't have to pay too much attention to. But listening to stuff, very excellent. So let me tell you a little bit about me. Again, my name is Kat. I am currently located in Eastern Tennessee, which, I mean, look at this gorgeousness. But I've lived in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. In particular, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and I moved here during the pandemic from beautiful, wonderful Washington, D.C. One of my great passions in life is traveling, so this has been a real blessing to be out here. And during the pandemic, I started knitting and crocheting. And this is my podcast, so I'm just going to go straight for it. Okay. Include the mistakes. It's okay if there's mistakes. So I'll tell you the story about how I got into it. My day job is working as an essential worker, and as you might imagine, last year was incredibly stressful. So by the time we got to the end of the year, I turned to my partner and I said, hey, look, I know you want me to come with you to see your family for Christmas, just like we did for Thanksgiving, but I'm just really stressed out, so I think I'm going to take some downtime and spend some time by myself. So that's what we did. He went off very wonderfully, and I just did all the work stuff that I needed to, and otherwise just stayed home and chilled out. And what else do you do when you're chilling out but to watch Netflix? So I was watching Bridgerton, I was watching Jingle Jangle, which was super cute, and I watched Dash and Lily. And the thing these three things had in common was the beautiful costumes. And I am always a sucker for a good costume in a movie, especially historical stuff like Pride and Prejudice and Marie Antoinette. And so on a complete whim, completely like, what's the word? Completely impulsively, I told myself, like, hey, why don't I, for the year 2021, I'm going to teach myself how to make clothing. I'm going to make my own clothes. And for some reason, I told myself, oh, like a sewing machine is just too much of a big investment right now. So I think I'll try this knitting thing that one of my friends is already doing. Like, it seems really cool. So let me do that because it's cheaper. And here we are, probably like, 8 months into this, about $1,000 sunk into yarn and knitting notions and needles and hooks and stuff. And here we are, right? But it was super fun. And I started out with crochet because everybody on the internet says that that's easier. It was actually a very frustrating experience for me. I was really confused about how to count stitches. I was always adding extra stitches to the end of my rows, so it looked all like uneven. And I was trying to make a hat, but I didn't gauge properly because I didn't think that was really relevant, first project, right? And so the hat just turned out atrocious, and I've since buried it deep into my apartment. And so I switched over to knitting because everybody said that was hard or something. and it turned out that I actually found it easier. Go figure. I found it really meditative, and I did some knitting, and I was ready to swear off crochet forever and be one of those like bitter knitters who's like, ho ho ho, crochet, what a joke, or whatever. But I was looking on the internet, and I just kept finding these beautiful sweaters that I really, really wanted to have that could only really be done with crochet. Intermediate, advanced crocheting, nonetheless. I'm so crazy. So I was knitting all the way through to the beginning of summer, and for the summer I thought to myself, oh, I'll do some visible mending, which is another craft that I'm really interested in, but instead I got sucked into making crochet stuff, and I feel a lot better about crochet now. So I'll start with my first finished object, which I'm wearing. It's starting to get cold here. I have so many beautiful summer makes, and I just had to talk about it. So this one here is the Summer Stream Tee. There's a dog over there. She's so cute. This is the Summer Stream Tee from For the Frills, which I just really enjoyed making. So to start with, I bought a pattern for one of my gold crochet sweaters, and I looked at it and I got cold feet. I was like, oh my god, I'm not prepared for this. So I started to look around for like beginner crochet clothing, because I enjoy clothing, that I could start with and kind of work my way up to it. So this is one of them, which I really love. I did it in Knitpicks Shine Sport, in the wisteria colorway, which is beautiful. My partner actually helped me pick it out, and I just had so much fun with this. It really did give me the confidence to keep going in crochet. I had probably the biggest trouble I had was with the collar, where we had to do some slip stitches, and I couldn't figure out where to put them, so I just made sure to keep them consistent, and it turned out pretty good. I really like it, and I really loved being able to customize the armholes. Actually, I'm so proud of this right here. Because, you know, after years and years of buying clothing, I didn't realize how much fun it was to really customize it to me, so that this right here is just really clean and really airy. I just feel so comfortable. This would be so comfortable, was very comfortable, like in the middle of the summer, and now that it's getting colder, it's still just really, oh, I love wearing it. It's like lightweight, not a problem. One of the things during this pandemic is I've really just hated bras, so I'm not wearing a bra under this. But I'm not worried. I don't feel like I'm like showing off anything. I'm not worried I'm being vulgar, I guess. How do you say that? All right. So that was my first confidence booster when it came to crochet. And one of the things that I saw on Instagram was the Maeve top by Hook Loops Mae-an Liggayu. Quick edit right here. I thought her name had an N in it. It does not. The actual way you say her name is Liggayu. Please keep that in mind when you see me, when you hear me screw it up again later. Okay, go on. And I just fell in love with it. I was just ready for hot girl summer, really, and this is the hot girl summer pattern, I think. So I made one for myself. Bing, bing, bing. And again, Shine Sport. from Knitpicks in the grapefruit colorway. I didn't actually mean for all of these things to be made from Knitpicks or to be made from Shine Sport. It just worked out that way, especially because Knitpicks, I guess, they had a sale at the time that was just the right sale, and it was just the right, what's the word for it? At the right time and at the right weight that was needed for the pattern. And I had so much fun making this. The Suzette stitch is really enjoyable to make. Again, the yarn is just really fun to touch. I love the stitch definition right there. I had some trouble with like making the straps for me. That was tough, and these straps are actually a little too big. So what I did to solve that problem for when I'm wearing it is I'll loop the long strings at the end through the straps so that it just pulls it tight enough that I don't feel like I'm like losing any coverage. But I loved making this so much. I have a 32-inch bust, which is really small for a lot of things, and so again, bras have been a nightmare. My partner's calling me, but I can't talk to him right now because I'm in the middle of this. Ah, fudge. Okay, let's pause it. Okay, where was I? I'm determined to just do this. I am doing it all, like, not as well as I want to. I wanted it to be at my apartment. I wanted it to be with all my whips and all of my finished objects and all of my yarn, and that's not happening, and it's okay because everything's perfect. Eastern Tennessee is perfect, and yeah, this is my podcast, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you all of my fabulous thoughts and feelings about stuff, I guess. But yes, the Maeve top. It was super fun to make. I loved being able to customize it to my body because it was just the most freeing, it was an amazing feeling. Whenever I wear this, it doesn't feel tight. It just holds on to my body in such a like loving way. It's very soft, and I'm never worried about like, oh, am I gonna be showing too much? Am I any of that stuff? And I feel free. So I'm so grateful for Mae-an Liggayu hook loops. I think of her as hook loops because that's what I see on Instagram. For making the pattern, and I just had to share with other people. I've had so much fun with that, with making the Maeve top, that I'm actually making it for a bunch of other people, like my sister. Let me try to find where I put my second one. So I've made a second one. And this has been really fun to make as well because I'm making it for a different person, so I had to, measure it differently. Usually I just slap a project on me and see if it's going well. But that was a fun skill set of like fitting it to another person, making it to their specifications and stuff. I really enjoyed that. I'm really looking forward to making more stuff for other people. And did I mention that I just love working with cotton yarn, and I'm really looking forward to and hoping that I can make more stuff with cotton. I've definitely been looking at more cotton stuff on the internet as well, and trying different things. Oh, and this one was made, this Maeve top was made with Knitpicks, again, Shine Sport, in the pistachio colorway, which is so beautiful. I mean, just look at those little Suzette stitches. It's just so pretty. Alright, so those are my finished objects, and I'll move on to my whips. This is all really funny because I've been working so much on crochet recently, but I actually really think of myself primarily as a knitter, mostly because I find that easier to do, but who knows if that's going to change. I'll I have a lot of thoughts about the whole knitting, crocheting dichotomy. You might expect that I find that whole thing, like the judgments and the prejudice about it, really silly. Because you're in a multi-million-dollar industry that is severely undervalued simply because it's women and it's women's work. So why are we fighting? Why are we having like bad feelings about something so mundane? But we can talk more about that at a different podcast. So whips, what am I still working on? I still have to weave in the ends on that last Maeve top. And I've also started working on the Mountaintop cardigan by Alexandra Tavel 2 of 1. I don't have it with me because I'm currently over at my partner's aunt's house, and secretly that that cardigan is for her. She and I are the same size, so that's kind of nice in that I really can fit it to myself. And because my goal is that it be kind of like a blanket, it's basically a blanket in a cardigan shape. She can just wrap herself up in the autumn. Her birthday's at the end of the month, so I didn't bring it with me because I didn't want her to know, even if I had to lie that it was for me, whatever it was. I'll put a picture through this section so that you can see it, and or what I have of it. And I've had a lot of fun with that project. It is a much bigger hook. It's been really fun to work with it after working with like tiny freaking hooks this entire time. And I don't know what it is, but I've just been having a ton of fun with that. The intarsia crochet is really fun. It has just enough detail. Hold on. A better way to describe it is that it has a good balance of kind of like repetitive work that you can just zone out and watch knitting podcasts to, and detailed work so that you're really engaged and checking in on the project frequently. I started getting worried that the project was too small, despite the fact that I did the XS size, and Alexandra Tavel in her photos for the pattern is also wearing an XS, despite the fact that she's bigger than I am, and it looks like it has that blanket cardigan feel to it. But I think as I'm continuing on with the project, it's looking like it's gonna hit that mark. I want my blanket cardigan. Which is gonna be not mine. So that's mainly my whip. I'm also, one of my goal crochet sweaters is the Marigold sweater by Dominique Calvillo at Namaste and Crochet. And I finally bought some yarn for it. Well, to be exact, I had bought some Lilies and Cream cotton dishwash cloth for it, dishwash cotton for it. And it worked up the bodice really nice, but it's still like a really rough cotton. So I decided that despite the fact that maybe it'll be okay, I don't know, I might go back and still do it. I just thought the puff stitches looked garbage. And I was like, okay, that's probably the material that I'm using. So I went out to my local yarn shop and bought some more cotton yarn. This time it's Pima Curry from Manos del Uruguay. Oh my gosh, I totally messed this up. My bad. It is not Manos del Uruguay. It is Mirasol Yarns, as I've put in the subtitle. Alright, go on. Manos del Uruguay. So here it is. Here's one of them. And it's again made out of cotton. I might have mentioned that I'm really loving the cotton right now. I love that it's versatile and that you could use it for summer makes and for warmer weather makes. I have been going through the Marigold sweater hashtag to see what other people have been using, and I know that it's mostly acrylic and merino, and I am still wondering if the use of the material is why my puff stitches are kind of crappy, or that I'm just a beginner working on an intermediate crochet pattern, and like I'll just need to work through it. I'm a big believer in just working through it because I am really nervous and anxious frequently, and I've learned it's just work through it. Just keep going. I decided to use some yarn that I had bought specifically just to practice crochet stitches with. This is also a cotton from Hooked by DK, and I'm just using it to practice. So I've been just practicing the sweater, the shoulders, the sleeves. The word is sleeves. And as you can see, my puff stitches are looking a little meh, and I don't know if that's the cotton or just me or both. But I'm just gonna go on with it, as I said, and see how it looks when I'm done with it. And you know, maybe it's one of those things where I work on it now and make it now and then do it again later on when I'm more experienced at crochet. And those are my main whips. Once fall really gets going, I'll pull out some more of my knitting because I do have some knitting that I paused when the weather started heating back up again. And I'll get back into those. I also really want to make a bunch of hats and things for Christmas, so I'll be working on that as well. Acquisitions. I have been on a yarn buying tear lately. I'm fairly confident that I've spent at least $500 on yarn this past month. And it all really began with seeing a really cool pattern idea for some hand-dyed yarn. And up to this point, I've resisted doing hand-dyed yarn just because I wanted to try other things. And because, I mean, it's $28 minimum per skein, which is a lot. It's a commitment, especially for sweaters, which is what I'm feeling right now. You know, that's easily like $100, $200 for a sweater quantity. But when you think about it, like, buying a already made $100 sweater is pretty good quality, you know? So what's really the difference between just buying a sweater before the labor's been put in? I mean, I think it's so pleasurable to sit there and work on your own sweaters. Why else am I doing this, right? So that's what I did. I bought hand-dyed yarn. Ironically, I didn't buy the yarn that I was looking at. I ended up buying some other yarn. Again, I don't have this with me. So I'll talk about it and I'll put photos in here. I love the yarn made by Melanie Asato at Big Little Yarn Co. I've been to Japan 3 times now, and I love that country. I love the palette, the colors, I mean everything, and I love that she's capturing that in yarn. I mean, I'm pretty much on her Instagram constantly just drooling over yarn. I'm so sorry. But I am still a newbie, so I look at a lot of those like variegated yarns, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with you yet. So I ended up on the River Colors Studio website because I knew that she had a bunch of wholesale yarn over there, and I ended up buying a sweater quantity of Yami, and a sweater's quantity of matsuri. Matsuri is a variegated colorway, and yami is like a really nice reddish purple tonal. I also bought one skein, the last skein of Ame, which is her blue, because I think it's so pretty. And I have ideas of what I'm going to do with them, except for the Ame. The Matsuri turned out to be more variegated than I thought. I thought, looking at the photos, that it was like red and blue, and that was kind of it. But it has some green in there, which I'm really excited about. So my first thought is like, oh no, you know, the pattern I had in mind isn't going to work out because how do I deal with these greens? But the only way to find out is to just do it. So that's on my list of to-dos. I also bought some more yarn from Bigelow Yarn Co. as well as Sorella yarn, but I haven't received them, so I'm not going to. Just gonna wait on that. And then again, I went to my local yarn store, and because I was looking for cotton yarn for the Marigold sweater, and I got that Pima Curry. Let me just continue to touch it because it's so pretty. And they were also having a sale, so I found this these skeins of 40% Angora, 40% silk, and 20% lamb's wool that were just absolutely freaking gorgeous. I mean, it's in a very like baby pink, and the first thing I thought about was the Ronculus sweater. How do you say that? Ronculus sweater, which I've seen in different versions of, what's this? So that's what I'm thinking of for that one. And 9 skeins of it cost me $9, so it's almost like a freebie of a sweater. I almost feel like I should make that for somebody else, because as much as I like making things for me, I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm gonna make for me. But I also don't know anybody who really appreciate a 40% Angora, 40% silk, 20% lamb's wool. So I'm either gonna have to do a little bit of research and like nice tapping of people in my life, or just make it for me and then maybe just rehome it. We'll find out. So that's what I've got so far. Thank you so much for taking the time thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me and listen to me, and I'm wishing you great luck and joy in all of your makes. Thanks for stopping by again, and that's my dog Elsie. So thank you. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Please follow me at Yarnsnarl on Instagram, and we'll continue these vibrant conversations. Bye.